So today we're talking about the one and solipsism. Now, the first argument that I have against the one being everything for everyone, being the same literal entity for each of us, which I followed that idea for a long time. I thought it was true, and pretty much every religion does too. But my reasoning against it, or my first pull away from it, was how one experience cannot know what the other is experiencing. And like, even if we had some omniscient God who could see all the experiences or know stuff about them, it still wouldn't know what it's like, how it is for you and me to not know each other's experience, for it to be the totality of what we're experiencing, since we are said experience. So that was a huge thing, and it was kind of like from here being like we're all one, us in the middle, like the experience as being individual, and then even smaller, which would be like the parts of my experience are existent themselves, and that doesn't work either, because again, it's not correctly putting the experience with the perceiver. It is like, okay, so I'm having this experience, and then the color in there also has its own experience of being red. So like, if I get a red experience with a yellow, then I see, a red and yellow ball or something. But that's where I was going wrong, because I was thinking of singular things as composites, where it's got parts to it. And so something real to me is completely concise. It has no dimension in any way, not literally at least. And then it doesn't have a breakdown of its identity, and so it can just be the thing that it is, instead of trying to rely on something else, and then that relies on something else, and then you find that it's all empty, right? Like Buddhism. So we find this thing that's as small as you could possibly get, and that is an experience. And as I've described before, like, if you're to actually take parts of it, can't do it. If you're to take the parts of it, then you're not actually taking the parts of it, you're taking a representation of it, and then dissecting that instead of the experience itself, because the experience itself only comes as this one concise thing. It doesn't have different angles. Okay, we project those and like expand it or divide it, but when you have something completely small and you're dividing it, okay, those aren't even entire things. They're not real things. Anyway, so back to solipsism then. So there are two kinds of solipsism. One is hard solipsism, in which it's said that only your experience exists and others do not. And soft solipsism is where you know your experience to exist, but others might exist as well. And to me, that is especially possible if they exist separately. And so it's not like you have one over here and one over here, because then there could be some form of interaction, and then also they are part of a whole, right? Part of a bigger whole, and then that wouldn't be their true identity.